Hi, I'm Steve Gibson of grc.com. RAID demystified, the tech of solid-state drives, and Mr. Excel is in the house. Today on The Lab with Leo Laporte.
How are you? Good to see you and welcome. It's time for The Lab. I'm Leo Laporte, and this is a show where we explain
everything.
Everything. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Can we just stick to technology for me? Because I'm not too smart about anything else. That's Kate Abraham. She'll explain everything but technology. I'll take care of the technology.
Absolutely.
How about that?
Like a big encyclopedia show.
You could say how the life works, how the universe works, all that stuff. And I'll stick with computers, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater. I can handle that.
Okay.
If it's got a chip in it, I'll take care of that.
It's a deal.
This is episode 155. We're so glad you're here. You know who else is here? You just saw him, Steve Gibson.
Absolutely.
You know, we had one of these. Is it Samsung? The solid-state drives. They're flash drives. 64 gigabytes for like $3,000.
They're very cute, aren't they?
They're cute, but they're
shiny.
pricey. We're going to talk about how these work, how they're different from regular hard drives, and a few things you might want to know before you buy, besides the price tag. Bill Jelen, Mr. Excel, he can't leave it alone. He's going to talk about pivot tables. He can't leave it alone.
Everyone goes, oh my God.
One of these days I'm going to understand pivot tables.
Yeah, I know, I'm with you.
And then I'll tell you, I'll be Mr. Excel Jr. That's what I'll be.
In training.
And our hacker is here, Franklin Harris.
Yes.
And he's going to talk about RAID. RAID! That's the big hard drives where anyway, he'll demystify it, explain it all to you. But the most important thing is, of course, our callers. We're going to span the globe today for callers. Let's start with our first.
We are heading to Montreal and Quebec, and we have Scott.
Thank you, Kate. Hello, Scott.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome to the lab.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
You're bundled up today.
Yeah, it's a little chilly in Montreal.
I'm not surprised. What can I do for you?
Well, I've got a Wii, and I really love it, but I'm wondering how I can turn it into some kind of media center so I can play my MP3s, my MPEGs.
Right. There are actually a number of different ways to do this, oddly enough. I found a Wii hacker site that talks about a variety of these different ways. His name, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I think it's Liquor Dice or something. Licorice with a D, or anyway, if you go to wehacks.blogspot.com, he has put together a list of different ways to stream music on the Wii. And so you can Winamp, for instance, will actually stream out the music and control it from the Wii web page, the web browser. Winamp. There is iTunes streaming. You can actually control iTunes from the Wii with something called .tunes. But this is my favorite. It's called Orb. ORB.com. It's absolutely free. What you do with Orb is you'll set up your Orb account, okay, with various things. I have my Flickr photos here. You can have videos. You can have music. I also have news. You can have all sorts of stuff. And then you use this to they call it mycasting. And you can actually mycast via the web to your Wii. Now, there are downloads, so you can even get television on this thing. You'd install this download onto your PC, and then you'd log on from your Wii. This also works with the PS3 and Xbox, even mobile phones, PDAs, and laptops. You'd log on to mycast.orb.com, and you'd be seeing the video that was coming from your TV or your PC.
So you're like in the Orb.
I think that's the way to go. Have you played with it?
No.
I'm very impressed with this.
Sounds great.
Especially since it's free. There are other ways. If you're already using Winamp, you might want to stick with it if you've got Winamp all set up on your PC. But if you don't have something already set up, I think Orb is a very interesting way to do this. And I hear more and more people using mycast, the Orb cast, that allows you to put all sorts of content up on the cloud, I guess, and to stream it. This is my mycast page, so I'm going to add more channels to it. There's already stuff in here. Stock quotes weather. RSS feeds, and you could put photos, video, and music as well.
What happens to my my MPEGs, though? Will they be up there, or even DVXs?
Yeah, anything that your PC can play will be streamed across the network. Now, I presume you've got your Wii online. You obviously have to be able to hook your Wii up to your network, right?
Yeah, it's Wi-Fi'd in.
Right, okay, good. As long as you've got that working, you got a Wi-Fi network.
It'll stream it out.
It streams it out, and then you use the Wii browser to access the content.
That's great.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Because the Wii doesn't have a hard drive, you can't. There's not. Most of this stuff uses the Wii browser basically.
Yeah, they're just missing Flash 8 in there, and then it would cook.
Flash would make a big difference, wouldn't it? And I do think that there are some attempts to hack the Wii to put Flash on it as well. Yep. Ooh. But you don't need that for the Orb stuff.
Great.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call.
That's a great answer.
Great to talk to you, Scott.
Thanks a
lot. What games
Leo.
do you like on the Wii these days?
Pardon me?
What are you playing on the Wii?
I'm playing Ghost Squad. I'm playing, of course, the sports.
Everybody loves Wii Sports. You got one of those Wii Fits yet? That's what I want. I need that.
Ain't seen that yet.
No, I think they're just coming out now.
Yeah, I could I could see my girlfriend using that.
Not you, huh? You're not going to do your yoga poses on your Wii?
Could be tense.
Thanks for calling us, Scott. It's good to talk to you.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Take care.
Coming up in just a bit. These are the newest things, these solid-state hard drives. They're lower power. They're more robust because there's no moving parts. You're going to start seeing them in laptops, but at what price? We'll find out with Steve Gibson, our friendly security and hard drive guru, when the lab continues in just a bit. You stay right here. Welcome back to the lab. Leo Laporte here. Steve Gibson is here also from grc.com. He is a hard drive guru. He writes SpinRite, which is still to this day, after 2 decades, the simple, best hard drive maintenance utility. But you might be out of business pretty soon because flash drives are here, solid-state mass storage.
And you do not want to run SpinRite on them.
You don't need to.
You don't need to, but you don't want to. It turns out that the fundamental technology in these flash drives gives them a limited number of writes. One of the advantages of a spinning magnetic disk is you can write it and rewrite it
almost infinitely.
Yeah, well, infinitely until the bearings dry up or something.
Right.
I mean, the problem is they are mechanical, and what we're seeing, of course, is a dramatic reduction in the price of non-volatile memory, driven largely by the craze in media players and cameras. Well, everyone wants, SD cards.
Let's step back a little bit. Yeah, I want people to understand what we're talking about. So this is the same kind of memory that you put in your camera?
Yes.
This is just that same stuff.
It's more
flash.
of it.
And you have enough of it in a drive to do what we saw at one from Samsung was 64 gigs. Right. How much was that, Sean? It was $2,000.
Yes.
They're pricey. But 64 gigs in a drive. Now, why would you want to do that? Because I can get much more on a disk.
Well, it is going to be much more robust in any kind of a mechanical wear and tear. Nothing to move. You could drop it from a few inches and not bounce the heads on the surface. So it's just it's why the iPods are trying to get away. The Apple iPod was originally a little hard disk drive.
Right.
And they were dying on people all the time.
Right.
The newer ones have gone to 8 and 16 gigs, which are big enough
of solid
state storage.
So besides the expense, the other problem is that you wear them out faster.
Yes.
Now, how fast?
Well, they say that a given location can handle about 100,000 write cycles.
That's a lot. How many times are you going to write?
It is a lot, but there are and they've advanced the technology. The way these things work, they don't have a battery. You remember, like the BIOS memory on our motherboards, you've got a little coin battery to keep the CMOS alive. Well, this is not CMOS. This uses metal
oxide. It's just like your memory card. You don't have to charge it. It just holds the pictures forever.
Exactly, and it does it by having a little chunk of metal close to 2 connectors, but separated by an insulator, and pushing electrons onto this little island of metal where they're stranded. And then a field effect transistor is essentially what that is. It can sense that the charge is up there, and because it's floating above an insulator, it's stuck. So that's how you write a 1. Then you drain them off, you pull the electrons off in order to put it back to a 0. The problem is forcing the electrons through this insulator degrades it a little bit. So that's chemically, that's how over time they end up sort of fading. You have a bit fade.
Okay. How long do we expect these drives to last?
They probably will last
time.
substantially longer than a mechanical hard drive. Right now, they're much more expensive. But for example,
Well, wait a minute, that's interesting. So even though you have this damage, they should last longer than a rotating drive?
yes, what's happened is because of this 100,000 write limitation. For example, if you had a swap file on one of these, you basically Windows is writing to the swap file all the time, moving main memory onto the drive and back. So that would just be writing redundantly, like for no purpose at all. So the manufacturers have added technology that spreads the writing across the whole physical surface, so that even if you appear to be writing to the same logical location, you're actually doing the writes scattered across the surface.
It wears out more evenly.
Yeah, so you don't burn out one specific area of the drive.
So, is it faster than a regular spinning hard drive?
Well, yes. Now, one of the reasons we all know that the SD cards tend not to write very fast.
Right.
The reason is they have to build up a voltage in order to poke through that insulator, but they read at regular RAM speed. So in any situation where you're reading mostly, like an iPod, where you're listening to your music, you're reading from it, and you're only occasionally writing to it, it makes sense.
That's a really good choice because you're not going to wear it out and it's going to read fast.
Right. Exactly. So,
what about putting them in computers? Because that's where we're starting to see these applications.
Well, I mean, and it makes absolute sense in a computer. There is a setting that not many people are aware of. For example, in XP, you're able to change the writing strategy to any SD card or even USB drive. Normally XP...
This is the ready drive system.
Actually, not even that. That's in Vista. Even in XP, you can say, I want to set it for safety, which means it flushes immediately to the drive, or performance.
Right.
And if you set it for performance, it caches it and then only periodically writes it out, but you have to be careful not to like unmount the drive or eject it before you pull it out.
So if you have a built-in hard drive, you probably would want to run in that journaled mode, that performance mode, right?
Right. Yeah. Right, because you want to buffer in RAM and only write out to the non-volatile memory when things have sort of settled down.
So, do you need to defragment these drives?
No,
that's what's fragmented.
And you don't want to, because defragging,
wear it out.
It's just moving stuff around.
Right.
And since there's no head to move back and forth, being fragmented doesn't hurt you at all.
Right. Is data recovery done the same way?
No. For example, SpinWrite, it would not be useful on a solid-state drive, where it absolutely is on a magnetic drive. So that changes, but file system recovery would be done the same way.
Because that's independent of how it's written.
It doesn't matter exactly how the actual data is stored.
Unerasing a file, things like that.
Exactly.
Fixing a partition. And how about security? Is there any difference, or is it pretty much the same?
Yeah, no difference in security.
That's all at the higher level anyway.
Right.
But so it sounds like these are a good choice when the prices come down. How soon before prices start to fall?
Well, I would say they're practical now at the high end.
If you can afford it. I mean, $2,000 is as much as the whole computer cost.
Yes, although look at iPods that have 16 gigs built into them.
Right.
So clearly, as volume increases, prices are going to come down. Everyone believes that the good old-fashioned spinning magnetic hard drive is so mature, the technology is so mature, and look how inexpensive they are. They're insanely big. It's going to be a long time before they go away, but in an increasing number of more demanding physical applications, you just won't want to have something spinning. And power consumption.
Well,
they use much less power.
Perfect for a laptop.
Yeah, drives get hot.
Right.
Well, the reason they're getting hot is all the energy coming out in heat.
Right.
You don't have that with solid-state drive. So in a battery application, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. GRC.com is the place to go. And Steve, even though he's going to be out of business as soon as these things, fortunately, spinning drives will be around for a while. And he, of course, does a lot of other things,
We'll
including
still be doing our podcast.
Including the Security Now podcast, which we talk about things like this every Thursday. That's at twit.tv or grc.com, his website. You'll also find great security software for free, like Shields Up, Shoot the Messenger, Decombobulator, and let's not forget Wizmo.
Wizmo.
Everybody loves
Gotta have
Wizmo. grc.com. Thank you, Steve. All right, we're going to take a break, but right now I want you to take a look at something you'd find around the lab. It's our Rude Solo Light. And, oh boy, we've really got to use that more often because Kate keeps taking these rude solos. I don't know what that is. Go ahead. Do you? Tell you what, we'll zoom out and we'll find out when the lab continues. You stay right here. What the tech is that? It's a mixer. The Root Solo light on a mixer. I know that. I knew that one. That's the mixer that our good Chuck D uses to turn up my volume. And the Root Solo, you press that button, it turns everybody else off. That's why it's Root. So he presses that button and you only hear me, you don't hear all of them, and that would be a Root Solo. Let's get another call from Kate Abraham.
Okay, we are going to a place called, I'm going to try and pronounce this, I think it's Longueuil in Quebec, and we have Hugo.
Hugo.
Yes.
Longueuil, Longueuil?
You say Longueuil.
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 Yes.
What can I do for you? Sorry about butchering the name of your town. I apologize. Longueuil.
No problem.
What can I do for you, Hugo?
I'm thinking of changing my 22-inch CRT monitor for a 24-inch LCD.
I see it right behind you. The picture that you sent us, there's the ViewSonic 22.
Yeah, it doesn't look that big on the picture, but that thing is huge. It draws a lot of power, and it generates so much heat.
Yeah, not so much huge across, but huge behind. It's deep.
Yeah,
because they have to have
so
a big
heavy.
glass tube in there. Yeah,
I can't see a burglar getting away with it.
That's the advantage. They're hard to steal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my problem is if I look at the LCD monitor, the native resolution.
Yeah.
I don't see it listed in the supported resolutions of my video card.
You will once you get the well. Actually, that's not necessarily true. Part of the reason that you don't see it is because your video card is using this 22-inch monitor as its monitor definition, so it will only show what the 22 can do.
Yeah, but I was thinking of looking in the actual specs.
Yeah, you have to have enough video memory to support 1900 by 1200, which is the default, usually on these 24s, the default resolution.
Yes, that's what I saw.
Yeah, so one way we can do it is a little calculation, multiply 1920 by 1200.
Okay.
I think if you have 64 megs of video RAM, that's enough.
Yeah, I have 128 in that.
Oh, that's plenty.
It's 4 years old, so that's why I'm asking. Maybe.
What kind of card is it?
It's an ATI Radeon 9700 Pro.
Oh yeah, you can absolutely support a 24p monitor.
Yeah. Okay.
Where you'd have trouble, you couldn't do 30 inches.
Okay, well, that's a little over budget.
Hey, they're getting cheaper and cheaper. I was just looking at them. Here's the Dell 24, which I like a lot. $469.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You probably paid 2 or 3 times that for your 22.
I paid $700 4 years ago for that one.
Yeah, there you go. And let me just they sell at 30 now, the Dell. Let me just see what the Dell, because I shouldn't even check because I bought a 30 Apple display. I think it was 2000 when I bought it. Let's just see what Dell's 30-inch displays are. I'm going to be depressed. I know I am. Yeah, $1189. Yeah, it's still pretty pricey. But those will drop too. Yeah. 30 is awfully big. And, I'm looking at your setup here. You really don't want a 30-inch monitor there, but a 24 would be perfect. And they're great for watching HD TV too, video. Yep. No, your 9700 will be just fine. Okay. Yep, no problem at all. It's how much video RAM you have. And you could figure that out by just multiplying the two together. Yeah, okay. And if it's got more pixels than you have memory, obviously you can't display at that resolution.
Yeah.
Okay, enjoy. You're going to love these.
Yeah. Okay.
They really look good. Hey, thanks so much, Hugo.
Okay.
Take care.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Longueuil. Sean Carruthers is here. He's got a shiny. I see no shiny. Where's your? I heard a beep. Is it in there? Yes. Are you hiding your shiny from me?
Yes.
Let your shiny fly. What is it? Stop beeping at me.
It's an Annoyatron.
It's the Annoyatron 2000.
Think Geek Annoyatron, which is designed.
What does it do?
It's designed to annoy your coworkers.
By beeping?
By beeping. So the concept is this: you flip it on, and it will emit an annoying sound.
Oh, that's a really high-pitched beep right there.
Yeah. And you have several different pitches. You have this one. You got
so it could sound like a. That's like right at the edge of your hearing. And if you're a young person, that's going to drive you crazy. You know what's good about that? If you're my age, you can't hear it. You just walk along blithely, and all the people under 25 are going, ah!
So here's the thing.
What?
It emits that beep at irregular intervals.
Oh, and you can't figure out where it is.
You can't locate it because of this the kind of
That's
noise
like when
it
a
is.
smoke alarm battery starts going bad. Oh, it's so
So
annoying.
you hide in an inaccessible place.
Right.
There's a magnet here, so you can stick it underneath a desk.
Oh, that's so mean.
And
What a great prank
because
this would
it's
be.
so irregularly spaced in terms of the beeping, it'll be very hard to locate, and you'll drive people crazy.
I love ThinkGeek. This is just hysterical.
So it's $10 for that.
Well worth it. Think of all the joy
Yeah.
and fun you'll have.
The problem is that it's going to irritate you too potentially if you forget where you put it. So
On the plus side, you can drive coworkers crazy.
Oh, you can drive them absolutely insane with this, and it is fairly easy to hide. You can tuck it away fairly easily, and the irregular beeps make it really hard to locate. You can't even wait for the next beep. So if they do find it, they'll break it, and you'll pay out the $10.
Might as well get used to that.
And yeah, it's going to annoy you too, especially if they find it and re-hide it on you.
All right. Well, we'll make sure that we don't hide this anywhere that anybody would be bothered by it. That would be wrong. So we won't put it anywhere. We'll just take it and you can get rid of this, okay? Hey, we don't know where it is, do we? That's a good shiny. I like that. ThinkGeek.com. For more shinies, labwithleo.com. Coming up, Mr. Excel in just a moment. He's going to show us some great stuff in Excel 2007. Pivot tables, they're even easier than before. We'll find out. He loves his pivot tables. Right now, though, it's quiz time. How do noise-canceling headphones cancel noise? You'd like to cancel that noise. Or is it a real-time volume adjustment? Physical insulation? They add the same waveform with inverted polarity? Or, block it with a really loud silence? Really loud silence is very effective. How do it work? We'll find out when the lab continues. Stay here. Ow! That really hurts. Look at that, Mr. Excel, gold coins. They're real gold, too, solid gold. You see like that? 1,000% gold. Sweet. And they actually have chocolate inside, too. Hey, thank you, Mr. Excel. He always brings these, and I love that. So Mr. Excel's back. He is the king of Excel, knows more about Excel than any human alive, and he also, I know he wouldn't say that because he's humble, but I say it. He also wrote the book Pivot Table Data Crunching. Now, I've been reading your last edition. This is the new one for Excel 2007.
Pivot tables are easier in Excel 2007.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Do I need to relearn everything I've learned in 2003?
No, because you're never going to use them anyway.
He looks at me like that. It's a reproaching look. You'll never use pivot tables.
If you would ever need a pivot table, you would just write to me.
I love pivot. That's what I do. I call Mr. Excel. I send him a question. So, first of all, what are pivot tables?
Pivot tables allow you to take 550,000, even 500,000 records of data in Excel and summarize it basically in 6 clicks.
That's great.
No formulas.
Yeah.
You can just drag fields around a report and summarize the data.
That's really great. And that's where I get lost, is dragging them to different axes and how.
Well, see, now that's the thing that they changed in Excel 2007. You don't drag it to the report anymore. You drag it to new drop zones, which actually makes it easier for folks like you.
Well, let's take a look. Folks like me.
Although,
nitwits.
You can't pass an opportunity to mock the ribbon.
The ribbon.
The ribbon. The ribbon is the new interface in Excel 2007.
Yes.
And in Excel 2003, we had a data menu, and on the data menu were things like sort and filter and auto-filter.
Perfectly
and
logical.
Pivot tables.
Logical, yeah.
Well, now we have new tabs. We have home, insert, page layout, formulas, data, review, and view. And so when we go to look for pivot tables, you would expect that they would be on the data menu.
Of course they wouldn't.
They're not.
View? No.
Now, let me give you a
Review?
clue. All the important stuff, all the powerful things are on the Home tab.
Oh, because they put stuff on the Home tab they figure you're going to use a lot.
Right. But pivot tables aren't here.
No. No, you tricked me. Where are they?
Here's my theory. Here's my personal theory.
Yeah.
I think they wanted to add it to the right side.
They ran out of room.
They ran out of room, so they went to the next tab, which is called Insert. It's like the first thing on the insert. It's almost like it's an addenda. An addenda to the Home tab.
But you are, in a way, like inserting a chart, you are inserting something into your spreadsheet, and that's the pivot table, right? So it makes sense.
Write this thing down. You're defending Microsoft.
I am. In this case, it kind of makes sense to me. Because you insert a chart into a spreadsheet, you're inserting a pivot table. Yeah. Right?
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
I will take back all of my mocking. All right, so we have our data set here. This only has 500 rows, but let's say that our manager comes to us and says, hey, we need total sales by region and product.
Sure. That's, well, I'll be back to you tomorrow. That's what is the key, by the way. He's taught me this. Oh, yes, we can do that. It's going to take us 8 hours.
We click the pivot table button. That's click number 1.
Okay.
Click number 2, it identifies where the data is, so I click OK.
Yep.
And here we are with our new interface.
Ooh, this is different. Okay.
Yeah. So over here we have the fields.
Those are all the different fields.
Like we used to have, but at the bottom
Wait
of the
a minute.
field
Now your Outlook keeps popping up. There it is. There we go. Okay.
Wow. Okay. So we have the field list at the bottom. Here are the 4 drop zones. Okay, so what did the manager want? He wanted to see total by region and product. Region is easy. I'm just going to click it, and it automatically goes to the right
adds it to the
drop zone.
label. Okay.
But product, if I would just click product, it would go to the wrong spot. So I'm going to take the product field and drag it here to where it says column labels.
So
that puts it across the top.
Okay, that's the top. So the left would be the region. So it's product by region.
Yes. And now we have to add something numeric.
Okay.
And that's going to be our revenue field.
And that's going to go in the value.
They renamed this to be the sum values or the sigma values.
I get it. Okay. I think this made an improvement for me.
So I click revenue.
And it knows enough to put it there by
because that
default.
field is all numeric.
Okay.
All right. So
it did it.
That's the first thing. So that basically 1, 2, 6 clicks.
Now you go play a round of golf, have a nice lunch, and tomorrow morning you bring your boss the report.
That's exactly.
I've slaved over this, boss.
That's exactly it. And then invariably the manager says, well, that's great, but I want products down the side. I want regions across the top. Well, it's very easy now. We just drag the fields around the drop zones. And it's good
that
to
was
go.
easy.
Now watch this. Now the manager says, well, I'd like to see customer.
Yes.
Okay, so we click the customer field.
Okay.
All right. And it's added it in here to column A. So we have the first product and the customers.
So it's sorted by customer. Okay, yeah.
But they had this functionality before, but it was never obvious. There's these new collapse buttons.
I love that.
So I can go into the staff meeting showing the products, and when the DEF manager gets to his piece, I can say, oh, well, here's the customers.
Your clients. Oh.
So we have expand and collapse buttons.
And that's all automatic.
That's all automatic. And it's up here, right here in the ribbon. We have expand all or collapse all. So I can expand all or collapse all. And the amazing thing is if I try and expand something else, let's say I try and expand the customer field.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be able to expand that.
It says, oh, well, okay, great, I'll expand. Tell me what you want to expand it by. Add region in.
I think even I could do pivot tables now.
There you go.
I think I understand that.
All right. So let me show off a few more cool features that we have.
Okay.
We'll put region across the top, maybe.
They need to change the name from pivot tables to like active reports or something like that.
Or auto summary.
They need something there.
Okay. In the old pivot table functionality, they had 15 different formats.
Right.
And every format was completely evil. There was no one alive would ever use any of them.
Terrible formats.
We now have 24,000 formats.
Well,
and they're all pretty cool, to be honest.
These are different ways you can style them
just to pretty up the report very quickly.
Look at that.
And I can turn on banded rows or banded columns, so we get the little. In this case, it's just adding lines in, but in some of the lighter formats,
it would
actually give me like the alternating row, here, like this,
like the old, green bar.
That's
nice, green bar. Look at that. That's great.
And if you don't like these colors, of course, on the page layout, we can switch to any one of 20 other themes. So I can very quickly, and you can see how we have live preview.
That's one thing they did well in Office 2007 is the theming and the live previews just really make it easy to make a good-looking, report, whether it's Word or Excel.
Right. One last cool feature they have is some new filter technology. Normally, when we go with dates, of course, we have this weird thing where it has every individual date, but we can. I want to see 60 days. I'm going to check 60 of them.
Oh boy!
But they have some virtual filters where we can say, hey,
next week, next month. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Next quarter. Next year.
Good.
Year to date, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's almost like QuickBooks. QuickBooks has a better list.
Right.
Or all dates in January or something. So you can filter much easier. And also some virtual filters. We used to be able to do something called the top 10 report.
Oh, I remember that. That was the good old days, wasn't it? I remember the top 10 report.
And they've kind of expanded.
It's gone.
No, it's there. They have that, but others, like everything above average.
See, now, above average, we love that one. Now that they've made it so easy in 2007, I think I'm going to use pivot tables more. But, of course, Mr. Excel makes it look so easy when he shows you what you really need to do. You're going to sit down, you're going to, what did he do? You get this book. It's all in here. Step by step. Pivot table data crunching for Microsoft Excel 2007. There's one for 2003, too, if you want to go back in time.
And definitely make sure to get the right version, depending on what you're using.
Because it's different.
The interface is completely
different. This isn't one where you say it covers all versions of Excel, because it can't.
It cannot.
This is the power user book. And boy, I tell you, once you're good at pivot tables, you can crank out those reports.
It's amazing what
it's
you can do.
really neat. Mr. Excel answers tens of thousands of questions free every year at his website, MrExcel.com, and he's even giving away his big new book, Learn Excel from Mr. Excel, absolutely free online at MrExcel.com. He couldn't be nicer about that. And all he asks is, if you love the book, that you buy a copy for a friend, or even for yourself, or maybe 2 or 3. Thank you, Mr. Excel. You're the best.
Thanks, Leo.
Yep. Time to have some chocolate. More of your calls coming up when the Lab with Leo continues. Oh, it really is gold.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome back to the Lab with Leo. I'm Kate Abraham, and now it's time for my tip of the day, and these are for gamers out there. It's a website called Congregate.com, and basically it's an online hub for anybody who develops games, anybody who plays them, where they can meet, chat, and exchange cool ideas. So Congregate.com, it's a really cool site, and the great thing is that it's completely free to use, and if you design games, you can upload them without a problem, and you can also play them and then rate them. And as you can see, there's a ton of games on here, and you can obviously, the better the rating, obviously the more plays they've had. So I'm going to have a little go at 3D Logic 2. Which is, as you can see, they really are well-made games. And I'm just going to sit here and just play this cool little Flash game whilst you take another call.
And these are free?
Absolutely free. And the cool thing is that the developers actually upload them here.
Yeah, wow.
So you can give feedback
with a K.
as well.
I like that. I'm going to go check that out.
Yeah, Congregate.com.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
And now, another call.
Another caller. We have Michael from Ottawa in Ontario.
Thank you, Kate. Hello, Michael. Ottawa. Longoy. Ottawa. Hey, Michael, what can we do for you?
Well, I had an issue with my Mac. I upgraded from Tiger to Leopard, and I've been mostly happy with it. Like, the operating system is great. When I first made this transition, though, when you got to the login screen, it would actually hang.
Yes.
You get that nice little spinning beach ball thing that everyone's so familiar with. And of course, at that point, I could not log in or get any access to the computer. An hour later on tech support with Apple, and they basically said your only option is to format.
That's not true.
Yeah, I figured there was other options.
That's not true. Did you format it?
I did actually eventually decide to format it. I was smart and backed everything up. I was just trying to avoid the hassle of a format.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever heard of Haxies?
No.
Okay. Unsanity makes a program called, they call them Haxies, and there was one particular called Menu Master that caused a lot of problems for people upgrading to Leopard. You did an upgrade from Tiger, I presume.
That's correct.
Yeah. If you were running Menu Master on Tiger, that's exactly what would have happened when you installed Leopard. There are other programs, in fact, you can see right here, they put a little warning. Warning, there are other programs like that. But this is Apple's always told me we love Unsanity, we love Haxies, but we do not guarantee compatibility with future versions of our operating system. And this was one where a lot of people got bit. They were running this program, and when they upgraded to a Leopard, blue screen of death, couldn't complete the boot. There is good news, though. The way Apple's installs work, there's always an option, and this first thing you should try before you do the format is the archive and install option. So what you do is, okay, we're crashed. You shut down the machine, you put in the install disk, you start it up holding down the C key to boot from the CD. That should work just fine. And then you start the installer, but instead of doing the upgrade, Apple, like Microsoft, will usually recommend the upgrade in place when you modify your operating system. This almost always is a bad idea because you've probably got something in your operating system that was incompatible or it just doesn't work. So almost always it's a better idea to do what they call the archive and install. And what it does is it takes the system folder, renames it previous system folder, moves it aside, doesn't touch your applications, doesn't touch your data, just puts a fresh operating system on there. Some applications will act as if they've never been installed. Some applications might not run right. That's why you have that previous system folder. You can drag their extensions over. But by doing that, it eliminates things like Menu Master because those things have to install as extensions in the operating system folder. So it sets those aside. And almost always that fixes it. Did you try that?
I did actually try that. As part of the Apple tech support, they did recommend that.
Yeah.
And again, to no avail.
You couldn't start it up.
Yeah, even after that, same thing. The computer would boot. It would go through all the standard stuff. And I mean, we tried booting in safe mode. Still nothing. As soon as you hit that login screen, boom, beach ball. Could not even enter a password. Nothing.
Well, yeah, probably what happened was, well, actually, I don't know what happened. And possibly what happened is during the upgrade, something happened to the hard drive at that point. Maybe they were right. Maybe you did have to format install. You can always get the data off by going into target disk mode. So you know how to do that probably, right? You hold the T down.
That much I didn't know.
Yeah, so now you can get the data off anyway, then format the drive. What I suspect happened is that concurrently with your install, something went wrong on the hard drive. And so formatting it and reinstalling at that point, did that fix it?
Yeah, doing a format and just a standard reinstall, everything was fine. It booted up, no problem since. It was
most of the problems people have had with Leopard stem from doing this upgrade. And I did it both ways just to see on a variety of machines. And it's almost always better to do at least the archive and install. Hey, a clean install, which means formatting the drive and installing, is always a good idea. You get rid of everything. On the other hand, it's a pain because you have to back up your data and so forth. So it sounds like everything's okay now.
It is. I actually did have another question as part of this. One of the things I was going to try, I never got around to it, it was a curiosity, is if I were to, say, boot the machine with, say, an Ubuntu Live, would I be able to still access the files?
I'm trying to remember if the only question at all is, can the Ubuntu Live CD see the Macintosh HFS file format? That's how those disks are formatted. And I'm trying to remember. I've done this. I think it can. So that's the question. If it could see the drive, yeah, absolutely. In fact, in all likelihood, you could boot from your OS X disk and see the drive, unless the drive's damaged. So boot from your install disk, you should be able to see the disk and copy files off. Do target mode, and then it just shows up as a FireWire hard drive, copy the files off. Or, yeah, possibly in Ubuntu, and it's just really a question of whether Ubuntu understands the HFS plus file system, and I seem to remember that it does.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, all three of those would be very useful recovery techniques to use if your hard drive dies and you can't boot into it. You can at least get your data and your applications off. Thanks for the call, Michael. I appreciate it. How do you like Leopard now that you've got it running?
Oh, once it's up and running, it's beautiful. Really gorgeous, lots of improvements.
Yeah, I love it, too. There are some issues people are having with it, but in general, I think Leopard is a big improvement. Thanks for the call, Michael. I appreciate it. I'm glad you got it all working.
All right,
now, let's take a walk over to Ryan Ewell. It's time for Ewell's Jewels.
Well, thank you for the intro.
Yes.
We're on Windows. We are doing Oxygen Office Professional.
Oxygen? I never heard of this.
Well, essentially what it is, it's open office, but it's value added. So essentially you get more clip art, you get some templates. All the stuff you get, yeah, so here I'm just showing off some of the different categories. So you got photos up top and scrolling through.
Open Office is an open source version of Microsoft Office. It reads and writes Microsoft Office files, has a spreadsheet, word processor, PowerPoint, all of the stuff that Office has.
It's also a Ewell's Jewel as well.
Yeah, so this is an improved version.
It just adds more clip art and templates. There's a lot of clip art, some more fonts, and also if I go up here and I go File, I go New, and I check templates and documents, it's just got a lot of more templates. We got business correspondence, education, so you go in there and you got business cards, you got...
Is it up to date with Open Office in terms of versions?
Yeah, this one is 2.3.1, I believe, so they're trying to keep up so that the updates in Open Office, then they make it over onto Oxygen.
So it sounds like there's no reason not to install Oxygen instead of Open Office, because then you get all this extra stuff with no penalty.
There you go, exactly.
And it's free.
It's absolutely free. I wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't free.
No, he doesn't talk about it. I've never heard him talk about something that's not free.
I know, I'm cheapskate.
Whether it's lunch, software, it doesn't matter.
First in line, last to pay. That's me.
Ryan Ewell's Jewels are online where?
Labwithleo.com. Go there. I'll send you this one, link to it, more, lots of good ones.
And no charge to use the website either.
No, it's free as well.
Absolutely free. I don't know how we do it.
You got to probably pay your internet service provider to get there, though.
Yeah, see, there's always somebody.
If I could find a free internet service provider, I would be king, I think.
I mean, Google, stick around. I think Google might be getting in that business. You watch.
If it does, can it be Ewell's Jewel?
It could be a Google, free Google, you bet.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Coming up right now, Franklin Harris. He's going to demystify RAID. That multiple disk solution. It is great for speed, reliability, backup. We'll find out more in just a bit. Before we go, though, let's give you one more chance to take our quick quiz question of the day. How do noise-canceling headphones cancel noise? Well, it's real-time volume adjustment.
No, I beg to differ. It's physical insulation.
Oh, you're crazy. It's the same waveform added to invert the polarity.
Oh, no. You just block it with really loud silence. What is it? Choose your favorite character. We'll find out when the lab continues. Welcome back to the lab. Before the break, we asked you how noise-canceling headphones cancel noise, and I believe they block the noise with very loud silence. No, they don't. They add the same waveform, but they invert the polarity so the waveforms cancel, and all of a sudden you're hearing nothing. It mostly works. They have microphones on them. They get the sound that's coming in from the jet noise. They invert it so that, you know, you got a sine wave like this and the other one's like that. They match the hump to the bump, and then boom.
The hump to the bump.
I just made that up. Franklin Harris is here. He is the co-host and producer of DigitalUnderground.tv, a lovely place where you can learn all sorts of stuff like we're about to show you. We actually asked him to demystify something called RAID. What is RAID besides bug spray?
There's an online debate as to what the actual proper name of it is. It's either redundant array of inexpensive disks or redundant array of independent disks. Either which way, it's a bunch of disks.
They are independent, and usually they're inexpensive.
Usually, I mean, the old RAID
still works even if they were really expensive.
Exactly.
So I guess it's probably independent is probably the better way.
Right.
So RAID combines multiple disk drives to do what?
To create one big array or one big volume. Now there's a bunch of different RAID levels. What I'm going to talk about today is the three primary ones, which is RAID 0, RAID 1, and RAID 5.
Okay.
Now you can buy units like this from D-Link. That's the front of it. That house multiple units
for two hard drives.
Got two hard drives in there,
yeah.
And this unit actually has a built-in RAID controller. Now RAID is usually performed at the hardware level, so it's usually a card. Or something in the actual enclosure that does this. Now this specific unit has two drives, so this will do RAID 0 or RAID 1. RAID 0 is something that I don't recommend for anyone. Now,
what is RAID 0?
It's essentially just a bunch of disks. Is what it does. It takes both disks, kind of uses all the space, one big size.
So you get two 50s in there, you get 100 gigabytes.
But you get no redundancy, no nothing.
And this is the problem is if you have two drives, one of them is likely to fail.
That's right.
And so you have twice the likelihood of losing. And if one dies, they both die.
Well, essentially, that's it. You got to get rid of the other one, or you
so you're kind of
from
increasing your chance of losing your drive.
That's right.
Okay.
Now, there's also RAID 1, which this unit does, which is mirroring. So you've got two drives of equal size. Let's say we got two 500 gigabyte drives in here. Whatever's on one is automatically mirrored to the other.
So the drive mechanism is writing to both at the same time.
Exactly.
So if one dies, you still have your data.
That's right. You can pull it out, replace it with a new one. I don't know if this exact unit does hot swapping, which means pulling the drive out while it's active. But once you put the new drive in, it will start the rebuild process and put all the data back on it.
So some RAID systems you have to power down before you put a new drive in.
That's right.
Some, the ones that are expensive, designed for servers, where they don't ever want to be down, you can actually, while it's running,
you can literally just pull it out and put a new drive in.
Which is a scary thing to do.
Yeah, it's not recommended, but if you actually need to.
That's 1 and 0.
That's 1 and 0.
And wait, by the way, when you have a motherboard that has RAID, that's usually your choice is 1 or 0.
Yeah,
sometimes they have 0 plus 1, which means you get a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Well, I wouldn't recommend it either. Your best bet, if you really want to keep your data safe, secure, reliable, and reap all the benefits of the speed gain of RAID, is RAID 5.
RAID 5.
RAID 5. Now, what 5 does is it does a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So you can take, let's say, 4 drives, 4 500 gigabyte drives, and you'll effectively use 75% of that total space. So you've got, it's mirrored and striped across all the drives. So if any one of those drives, actually if you're running 4, if any 2 of those drives dies at the exact same time, you can pull them out and replace them.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Right, so you're getting the benefit of both.
Does RAID 5 require 4 drives?
No, it doesn't require.
It can run on 2?
No, it cannot run on 2. Minimum
At least 3.
Minimum 3. Okay. And your other alternative is software RAID. A lot of Linux distributions have software RAID built into it. Now with software RAID, you can go minimum 3 right up to 100 drives if you absolutely want to. might not want to do that. Kind of hard to find a computer.
I'm kind of a fan of hardware RAID 5.
The best way.
Most network-attached storage devices do that.
That's right.
There are other devices like the Drobo we were talking about that essentially emulate RAID 5.
Yeah, it's their own proprietary.
It does work the same.
It works the exact same way.
Yeah.
You're mixing data across it. You're striping some of the bits across all the drives. And if any one dies, any two dies, if you have
that's really great
4 or more,
right.
then you're safe. It's the best bet in keeping all your data or any of your backups intact and not having to worry about anything dying.
DigitalUnderground.tv. Is this the kind of thing you talk about?
This is the kind of stuff we talk about. Yes.
See, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
it's digital, and it's underground, and it's TV, and it's at digitalunderground.tv.
Right.
Franklin Harris is the host and producer, and this is good to know. This RAID stuff is kind of migrating down to end users from the old days of big data storage facilities, but it's actually very useful and good to know. Now that we have lots of data.
It's the best way to keep your data, without question.
And we all have terabytes of data, it seems like nowadays.
Yeah. TV shows.
Came all the way out from the big smoke. Thank you, Frank. Join us today. You know, it's snowing back there.
Please don't remind me.
It's like pouring down snow.
Blizzard last weekend.
It's like 8 feet. Like you would walk and you would just, it's terrible.
I got 5 feet on my lawn.
Did you really?
Snow. Really? There's 5 feet of snow on my lawn.
I want to go there and dig a tunnel and we can have a fort. You want to have
see
a
all my Christmas decorations just glowing in the snow right now.
You don't see them, just the glow.
Just the glow, the white LED glow.
Oh, man. All right, we're going to take a break, come back. More of your calls in just a second. What? Wrap it up? We're done? Come on, I want to do some more calls. No? All right, well, we'll wrap it up then. We'll do more calls tomorrow. As the lab continues. You stay right here. Welcome back to the lab. We're out of time. Seems like we should have more calls.
Honestly, today has
more
just
guests.
flown by.
There were just so many things in this show.
Crazy.
I've learned so much.
Yes, indeed you have.
In fact, during the commercial, I learned a few things I wish I hadn't learned. But that's another story for another time.
We don't talk about it.
Kate Abraham, thank you so much for being here. I want to thank our guest, Franklin Harris, who came all the way out from snowy Toronto.
I know, Toronto,
just to show us RAID.
Toronto is very snowy at the moment.
Yeah, we saw some pictures from friends. Wow.
It's like here.
Steve Gibson, who came all the way up from sunny Irvine, California.
Sounds lovely.
So Frank got a good deal and Steve got a lousy deal. And then what was it like in Cleveland, Dr. Excel?
Dr. Excel.
I promoted you. Was it snowy? Cold, but not snowy. All right, so thank you for coming out. It's great. We have people coming from all over the world.
We bring you into the rain.
Yeah. If you want to be on the show, you could fly in or
absolutely
use Skype.
Oh, yeah. Go to labwithleo.com/tech questions. If you submit your question there, I will phone you, get you on the show. We will answer all your worries.
Except don't ask me about pivot tables. Because I still, no matter what Mr. Excel says, I still don't understand a thing about pivot tables at all.
It is crazy.
You know, he comes in and about once a year, he tries to teach me how pivot tables work. And it seems easy. It's like these Photoshop guys. You look at it, you go, oh yeah, I got it. I could totally do that. And then you go home and you go, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't understand it. We hope a little bit of this stuck better with you than with me, and we are so glad you were here. We hope you'll come back too, because we like to do this every single day. Can you join us again? Tell your friends. You know where to find us, The Lab with Leo. Do you want to go shovel some snow?
I would love to go and shovel some. We've been playing the snow.
Huh? I want to have a fort, snowball fight, the whole thing.
Let's do it.
Come on, Frank's house. Everybody, let's go. We'll see you later on The Lab. Bye-bye.